Hello, world, and welcome to the Quick Kick Picks presented by Bros Talking Soccer. My name is Dave Cano here with our brother Christian, live in person, coming to you from our parents' basement. Christian, you excited to do some Quick Kick Picks?
Could just call it my bedroom, because that's what it is.
That as well. Yeah, everybody, now you know that. Christian sleeps down here, right over there. But it is MLS Match Week 7. We got a full slate of matches to get to here, Christian. You excited?
I'm so excited.
All right, you prepared?
Somewhat.
Yep. All right. Per usual. All right, let's get to the matches here. First up, we got Chicago Fire taking on the Vancouver Whitecaps Friday, April 12th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what's going to happen?
So I see Chicago probably coming out of this with a result, if not a win, at home against Vancouver. Vancouver have not started the season very well, as you can see by their place in the table being 11th. Not that Chicago has done much better in 8th place, but they have more of an attacking depth, in my opinion. And with some of their recent signings, I think they're going to start to just be accustomed to MLS and start to get a rhythm together. And I could see them doing very well this week, and I'm predicting a 2-1 win.
Oh, interesting. I'm predicting a 2-1 Chicago Fire win as well. Chicago got a great result on the road in Toronto last week, 2-2 draw, and Toronto might be the best team in the East, so that's a really good result for them. Happy for CJ Sapong, former Union player, doing well, getting his start in Chicago, so he's been really good. Chicago strung together two good back-to-back results, and I think they get a win here. Vancouver could have taken a lead against the Galaxy last week, but they had that terrible Panenka. I don't know if you saw the highlights, but it was pretty bad, and after that, they really weren't able to rebound. I think it's going to be a long season for Vancouver, unfortunately, and they need to take little victories here and there. I don't think it's going to come in this one, so again, predicting a 2-1 Fire win. Christian, anything else you want to add?
Nope.
All right, let's get to Saturday's matches. First up, Montreal Impact are taking on the Columbus Crew, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, April 13th. Christian, what's going to happen here?
Well, welcome home, Montreal. That's very nice to see.
Thought you were saying welcome home to me, but
no,
that's okay.
But it's okay. Well, welcome home, Dave. Montreal is returning back to Montreal for the first time this season, and it'll be interesting to see how they react to that, because they're going against the number one team in the East right now. I don't think they are actually the best team in the East, but that is their position in the table. They're getting the results that they need to. And so Columbus are coming in, riding their form. And I think it's going to be very tough for Montreal. It is a new stadium that is opening right now.
Nope, that's Minnesota. Another M.
Sorry.
Another M.
I always get the M's confused.
Yeah, M's are tough.
But Montreal, I mean, they're at home, and it's going to be a good atmosphere. It's been a long time since their last home game, so they're welcoming a very strong Columbus side. I see them getting a result, though, and it being a 1-1 draw in this game.
Okay, I'm actually going to have Columbus getting a 2-run road victory here. So Montreal put in a very defensively stout performance midweek against DC United, who didn't have Wayne Rooney, but they just clogged up the middle. They didn't give DC really any opportunities. That was an impressive performance from them. Christian already touched on, it's going to be a home opener. They're going to be jazzed up. Jazz hands, jazzed up. I don't know about Nacho Piatti if he's back from injury. Obviously, that would be a huge boost for them offensively. I don't know if he is going to be back, so I can't rely on him playing at least a full match here. Columbus, meanwhile, top of the East. Christian already highlighted it. It's been a seamless transition from Berhalter to Porter. I think Caleb Porter has done a fantastic job of not trying to reinvent anything and just sort of kept building what Berhalter already laid a great foundation for. So that's been great. They're coming off 2 straight wins. They've only conceded 4 goals, with majority of those coming in a heavily rotated lineup against the Union, which we touched on in previous weeks. So 3 of those 4 goals that they've conceded came in one match, with most of their players missing. So from that perspective, Columbus is solid back to front. No world beaters, but they're going to be talented enough to get a 2-1 road victory here. Christian, anything else you want to add? Next match we got is Houston Dynamo taking on the San Jose Earthquakes. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what's going to happen here?
Well, they're going to visit Matt down in there. It's Matt versus Dave,
Matt
pretty
versus,
much, in this,
where we live.
The cities. Even though they are all Union fans, they are the cities that they live in.
I definitely am. Matt, we don't know what the heck he supports.
Yeah, it's okay. But, Houston is in 4th in the West right now, and that's pretty impressive. I didn't expect much of them this season, but they have definitely exceeded expectations, have no losses through 4 games. Being in 4th place through 4 games is very impressive, considering a lot of teams have played 6 so far. And I see them just riding this out. I mean, San Jose, yes, they won 3-0 last week, but against arguably the team that looks the worst in MLS right now, which is also a shock. The Timbers just were a mess last weekend, just all season so far. I see them recovering later, but this isn't about them. San Jose, I do not rate very highly, and on the road, they're going to fall apart. And I see an easy win for the Houston Dynamo here. 3-0 is my prediction.
Yeah, I got 3 or 4-0 to the Houston Dynamo as well. Props to San Jose for getting that victory last week. But Houston they're what I'll say is they're the undefeated team that nobody is talking about. Nobody's really referencing them, but they're still undefeated. They're coming off of last weekend. They were off, so a couple of weeks ago, is when their last match. So it'll be interesting to see if they have rust or if they're well rested. I think we'll know within 15 to 20 minutes of the match starting. And so obviously if they're well rested, that'll be a good sign. If they're rusty, you could see San Jose nicking a goal here or there. San Jose got their first win of the season. Impressive performance last week. There were lots of lineup changes that led to that. Basically, Almeida, their new manager, put out the fastest and most athletic players, and that seemed to work with his man-marking system. I don't think his strategy is going to work quite as well because I see Houston as being more athletic than Portland, and again, I just see a heavy Houston victory here. Christian, anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Next match we have is Seattle Sounders taking on Toronto FC, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. Christian, what do you think is going to happen here?
I think this is a really interesting match this week. These are two high-flying teams right now who really neither look like they're going to lose a game. And, I think I'm going with Toronto in this game to pick up the win here, but it's going to be a really, really tightly contested match. Toronto just look like they have everything figured out right now. I know Seattle looks similar, but that Toronto attack just seems to be meshing together in frightening form, almost the way that Atlanta did last year and Toronto did a couple of years ago when they had Giovinco and Altidore up front. So I just think that they're going to be too strong in the end, and they are going to pick up a win in this game, which is going to surprise the Sounders, and I think it's going to be a 2-1 victory.
2-1 victory for Toronto. So this is my game of the weekend, as Christian touched on. I think Toronto might be the best team in the East. Seattle is definitely top 3 most talented in the West, arguably top 2. So it's going to be a great matchup. I think Seattle's defense is better than Toronto's defense, but I think Toronto's attack is just slightly better than Seattle's attack. And the attacks are much closer than the defenses. I think Seattle's defense is far better than Toronto's defense. Midfield is going to be an important battleground in this particular match. I think Seattle ultimately prevails at home, but look out for some moments of magic from Pozuelo. I think he's much more involved as a playmaker than Giovinco, who was a little bit more do-it-himself, whereas Pozuelo wants to get his teammates involved. So overall, I'm predicting a 3-2 Seattle victory, but Toronto's going to make an interesting match.
Interesting.
Anything
That's
else
a very high-scoring game that you're predicting that.
I know. Even with the Seattle defense being so good, again, I just rate their attacks so highly, and I think it's going to be, high pace and a lot of attacking soccer in this one.
Let's hope so.
Yep. Anything else you want to add?
Nope.
All right, next match we have the Minnesota United, that's what they're called, taking on NYC FC at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Minnesota's opening Allianz Field, Christian, in this one. That's what you were referencing before. What do you think is going to happen here?
Just another Allianz out there in the world of soccer.
They're all
it's
over
just
the place.
Crazy. I think it's going to be a big result, in my opinion, for Minnesota this week. They're going to pick up a win, and that's something that they haven't had a lot of, obviously, historically. But this season, 3-2 so far. Not too bad to start. And they're opening up a new stadium. So it'll be a really high-flying affair, I think. And I think New York City are just lost without David Villa right now. They have no finishing ability. They really don't look that creative. And even when they are, they're not pouncing on their opportunities. So I think New York City really are weak on the road. They're so used to playing in that home field that it gives them a disadvantage when they go away. Minnesota to clearly win this game. I'm going with a 3-1 victory in this game.
All right, I'm with you on the 2-goal victory for Minnesota. I have it as a 2-0 because of that disconnected attack from NYCFC. There is some sort of mass blizzard moving across the Midwest of the U.S., so if this match happens, it might be played under less than ideal conditions, so that's something obviously to keep an eye on because things drastically change when there's snow or crazy wind or whatnot. It's going to be the first match at Allianz Field. Obviously, the players and fans are going to be all amped up about that. Minnesota coming off a surprising 2-1 road victory over the Red Bulls. I definitely did not predict that last week. And that also came without Darwin Quintero, their best player. So that's going to give a lot of the other Minnesota players confidence there. NYCFC, on the other hand, they're struggling mightily offensively. They only have one loss in the season, but they have no wins, and they only have scored 4 goals in 5 matches. So that, again, highlights the offensive issues we were touching about there. Hebert needs to come in at center forward. I know he's new, but they need to have something different happening for them in attack. And ultimately, I think NYCFC continues to struggle here, and Minnesota gets a 2-0 home win. Anything else?
Nope.
Next match, we have New England Revolution taking on Atlanta United, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. Christian, what's going to happen here?
Well, speaking of revolutions, Atlanta looks like they're in a civil war of their own. I don't know what's going on with that club, but they're just blowing up. And for them to be in last right now in the East just blows my mind. They have the second least amount of points. Second least amount of points. Least. Yeah, in the all of MLS right now. And for a team that was as dominant as they were last year, it's shocking that there's this big of a drop-off. I understand they lost their best player and their coach, but they still had quality in every single position last year, and it's unacceptable for them to be playing the way they are. I keep predicting them to come back, and this week I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not making excuses for them. New England is a disaster as well. Brad Friedel really needs to get that team together, but I think that just based off of the way Atlanta's playing right now, they look lost, and I'm predicting a New England Revolution 2-1 victory in this game just because Atlanta is that big of a disaster.
So I'm with you on the 2-1 scoreline, but I got it flipped. I got Atlanta getting a road result here. This is a battle at the bottom of the East, which nobody really expected coming into this season. I think you might have expected it with New England, but not necessarily with Atlanta. Atlanta was off last weekend, which I think will do them good. Do them well, do them good. Couldn't think of the right word.
A world of good.
A world of good. There you go. So they've had 2 more weeks to get integrated into Frank de Boer's system and develop some sort of cohesiveness there. I think that should bode well for them. If not, now there may be some alarm bells going off, and it might be time to get a little worried for Atlanta. On the New England side of things, they went back to their losing ways against Columbus. I think this is the match where Atlanta really starts to put the pieces together, and they have talented players, and they should be more dangerous offensively. I think it's going to happen in this one. It's not going to come without errors in some parts, and New England gets a goal, but ultimately Atlanta wins 2-1 on the road. Christian, anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Next match, we have, I have no nails, FC Dallas taking on Portland Timbers, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. Christian, what's going to happen here?
Well, I can tell you right now, I did not expect the Timbers to be in last place coming into this game earlier this year. I am just shocked that they have had this big of a drop-off as they have. They were in MLS Cup last year. They were in the final against Atlanta. Those 2 teams are in last in their respective divisions right now, which is just mind-blowing.
In fairness, Portland did start slow last year as well. But again, I'm with you. No way did I expect them to be this bad.
I don't expect them to be this bad. And they're going to Dallas this week. Dallas are riding their luck right now. They're playing pretty well. They're 3-1-2 right now. That's not bad. Or 3-2-1, depending which way you want to look at it. They have 2 losses. That's what I'll tell you guys. But they're scoring goals. They're not conceding that many. I mean, they're conceding about a goal a game right now, so that's pretty average, I think, for MLS and pretty much anywhere. Conceding a goal a game is not too bad. And I expect them to win this game. I think the Timbers just don't have it together yet, and until they really start to have some cohesion in attack and defense and just figure out the right formation for themselves, they're still going to just be in the same position that they're in. And FC Dallas is not the team you want to come up against right now if you're the Timbers on the road. No way they get a result. I'm predicting a 2-0 victory for Dallas.
All right, interesting. So FC Dallas had a bunch of players suspended for the match against the Union this past week, and I'm not really sure what happened there. That was a bit of a surprise, and so I think that showed in their performance. Dallas really didn't generate anything offensively. They got a goal and a set piece, and beyond that, they really weren't dangerous. I think it was good experience for some of the players that haven't been getting minutes to get minutes, and ultimately that might be good for them in the long run. But it'll be interesting to see how the suspended players sort of rebound and come back from that. So that's an interesting dynamic to look out for. On the Portland side of things, it seems really bad. The bottom of the table, they still have 7 more matches before they play a home match, and things could get really bad. They only have 2 goals in 4 matches if you discount that first week where it was Colorado and it was basically a crazy thing. So from a Portland side, I think the pain continues, and ultimately it's a 3-1 Dallas win here. Anything else?
Nope.
Next match, we have Colorado Rapids taking on DC United, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. Christian, what's going to happen in this one?
Oh, boy. Colorado, I just can't get on board with them. I'm so sorry, Colorado, but I just don't rate your team that well. I think DC United are a very, very good squad. Just well-rounded. They've got really, really amazing talent in attack with Rooney and Acosta and all their
Paul Arriola.
That's the one. Yeah, that's. Can you
He's
just let me
he's
talk?
a world-class player.
Can you please let me talk? I think that they're obviously going to be too much for Colorado right now, and even though it is in Colorado and they have some experience on that team, it's just not going to be enough to contain this DC team right now. I'm saying I'm going to go 3-1 in this game, and it's a 2-goal victory on the road.
Wow, interesting. I will say the one benefit Colorado has, they were supposed to play a midweek match, but that blizzard I referenced earlier, that postponed the match, while DC did have to play their match, so they might be a little bit fresher, a little bit more well-rested. DC got to rest Wayne Rooney. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say.
They got to the West.
Yeah, they got to rest him because he was suspended, but he should be fresher in this match if he's not getting an additional suspension, which I haven't seen yet. DC continues to be one of the best defenses in MLS. Lost to LAFC last weekend. Wasn't really structural defensive issues. It was more of turnovers in midfield and then just lack of transitional defense, and LAFC is just so punishing. So again, I don't fault them too much, and I don't think Colorado is nearly as lethal as LAFC. Colorado, meanwhile, looks a mess defensively. They're scoring goals, but they're just not able to prevent goals conceded. So I'm with you in a high-scoring match here. I'm going to have DC United getting a road victory, scoring 3 goals as well, but Colorado finds a way to get 2. So the match ends 3-2 to DC United. Anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Next match we have on Saturday, we have Real Salt Lake. There it is. Real Salt Lake hosting Orlando City, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what's going to happen in this?
Real Salt Lake is just, they're in 8th place in the West, which I guess it really isn't that terrible. But if you look at their record, they've played 6 games, won 1, drawn 1. They've lost 4. So that just shows you the rest of the West's lower half is just not doing very well either. I don't rate this team very highly, like I've said about a lot of teams so far, to be honest. But
who do you rate?
Who do I rate? We'll get to them soon.
Okay, there you go. Stay tuned.
Orlando City is one of the most consistently inconsistent teams that we have in MLS. They are 2-2-2 right now, and I see them coming into this game and getting another draw. I see this one being a 1-1 draw probably. I think that they're starting to get it together a little bit. They brought in obviously players like Nani over the winter break, and we'll see how they start to just mesh together as the season goes on.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you on the 1-1 draw as well. It's an intriguing matchup for me. RSL's coming in on a 4-game losing streak. You referenced that they've lost 4. It's been 4 in a row, which is concerning for me. I'm worried about them for this season. They've been picking up red cards, and from a discipline perspective, I'm worried about them this year. Orlando, meanwhile, they've been building the last few weeks, and you said they've been inconsistent. I think they've been showing fight in every single one of their matches, whether it's coming back from being down, getting a draw, or even when they lost to DC United. They're showing a lot of fight, and I like that from them. Nani, lucky not to be sent off if he's not suspended for this week because that whole headbutt situation. Again, discipline report hasn't come out. So if he plays, obviously that's a huge boost to Orlando City, and he'll look to keep building after scoring last week. I think it ends a 1-1 draw, like I said earlier. But again, if Nani's suspended, give the slight, just ever so slight edge to Real Salt Lake. Put them with you 1-1.
I mean, even if Nani's out, I still think that they do not have the edge in that game.
Fair enough. One of the last matches, West Coast. LA Galaxy is hosting the Philadelphia Union at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what's going to happen here?
Ooh, it's a Hollywood matchup, Dave. It's 2 teams that are playing really well right now, and it's the 4th place team in the East against the 3rd place team in the West. So it's going to be a very, very interesting game. I still think that LA are just too strong in attack not to score goals, and I just don't see the Union getting a result in this game. I think that they will pip a goal at least. I don't rate LA's...
Pip?
Yeah.
That's a fun word.
And I think LA's defense just really isn't that great, but their attack will get them through this game. I see a 2-1 victory for LA, and Zlatan is just going to be too much for pretty much anyone in MLS.
That's true. And we saw it last year, actually, with the Union's young center backs. They couldn't handle Zlatan at Town Energy
Definitely
Stadium.
not.
So I think that's going to be an issue again this season, but hopefully they've learned from it and he doesn't run wild like he did last year. At LA Galaxy, I'm with you. Their defense, I don't have a ton of confidence in, but they're coming off their first shutout of the year, obviously aided by that terrible Panenka we referenced earlier in the video. Attack is so strong. In addition to Zlatan, I really like Antuna on the wing. Alessandrini is really good. Jonah Dos Santos in the middle of the park. They have talented players. I'm going to be watching to see, again, if the young center backs can sort of cope with Zlatan. Union are on a 3-match win streak, but this is a long road trip for them. It's really tough to get results on the road in MLS, especially when you're going cross-country. One of the biggest lineup decisions I'm going to be looking for from Jim Curtin on the Union is whether he starts Montero or Aronson. As good as Aronson has been, Montero looks so much more athletic and all over the pitch from a defensive perspective, and I think they're going to need that in the middle of the park. So
especially if the Union playing the holding role.
Exactly, and so Aronson has done really well in as a center midfielder, but most of those results have been at home, or he's kind of been forced into that. And so again, if Montero starts, I think the Union can get a draw here, and it ultimately ends up 2-2. But I'm going to be looking out for that. Anything else you want to add?
They're definitely going to need to have Aronson on the bench for this game. I think Montero is going to make the big difference, and they're going to need to bring Ilsinho to make a big difference off the bench, just like always.
Yeah, that's a great point, because he made such an impact, and he should be off the bench the rest of the season because he's one of the most impactful bench
100%.
Last match of the day on Saturday, LAFC, also in Los Angeles, is taking on FC Cincinnati, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so the same time as the Union versus Galaxy. Christian, what's going to happen in this one?
There's La La Land Fest out here this week, and LAFC are just ridiculous right now. I don't know who's going to stop them at this moment, and I'll tell you one thing right now, and who it's not, is Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati, they obviously have one of the best starts ever for a new franchise in MLS, and they looked great until the Union just broke them apart at home, But I think that they're still a decent squad. It's just LAFC are that good pretty much everywhere on the pitch. They look like Atlanta did last year. They just look very, very composed in every facet of the game. Bob Bradley has them really drilled well, and I see a domination this week. I'm predicting a 4-1 victory for LAFC. They're just that good right now.
Yeah, LAFC, they look like the strongest team in MLS. The attack is so ruthless and just lethal, and even with Armando Dio going down, or Diomande. That's what I'm trying to say. Diomande, their center forward going down. Christian Ramirez comes in off the bench, and he's almost just as effective at center striker. It's just they have depth. They're just so solid. The one area of concern I do have for LAFC is their goalkeeper, Tyler Miller. He's good for like one or two just sort of nervy, less than composed incidents per match. And so, again, I'm getting nitpicky here because they're solid all over the pitch, but I'm going to nitpick one area. I'm going to say that might be an area of weakness. On the FC Cincinnati front, they drew against a heavily rotated SKC side at home. They don't have Fernando Adi up top because of the whole driving citation situation, and so don't know how long he's going to be out. I think they did look effective once they moved Kekuta Mane to center forward, and so it'll be interesting to see if they try that from the start as a center forward, because he's very fast, he's very dynamic, and without him there and without Adi, they just looked lost a little bit offensively. So from that perspective, having said all of that, it's really tough for me to predict anything other than an LAFC win. I think FC Cincinnati is going to make them work for it, but LAFC gets a 2-0 home victory in the end. Anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Last match of the MLS weekend, Sunday, April 14th, SKC Cincinnati. SKC, Sporting Kansas City, is hosting the New York Red Bulls at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I cannot speak. Christian, what's going to happen in this one?
SKC Cincinnati's playing
Cincinnati,
this week.
There you go.
Another high-flying showdown, in my opinion. I think SKC are one of the top teams in the West. They might not seem that way right now, but I'm telling you, they're going to be very, very good. They're going to be one of the top teams, probably outside LAFC, to fight for the Western
them in Seattle.
Conference.
Yeah, I think.
And they just have had Champions League, and I think that's taken its toll on them in some games so far. But it's now over for them, and now they can just solely focus on MLS for quite some time now. I can only see Kansas City winning this game right now. I think the Red Bulls obviously have a lot of talent. They've been consistently in the playoffs for how long now? Always in the Supporters' Shield race for, 4 or 5 years now, it feels like?
Yeah, I think they have 3 in the last 5 or 6 years.
Exactly. So they're always competitive. They have started horrendously, which is something you don't really expect from the Red Bulls. I don't think I've ever really seen them start this poorly. They usually just kind of coast. The way Man City does in England, they get in front and coast. But they're in a new position, and they have to fight back. They're going to have to show some resolve, which we haven't seen them have to do in the past. But I still think Kansas City are just going to be too strong at home. Just they're well drilled. Peter Vermees, is one of the longest tenured coaches, and this is it. They're going to win.
Okay, so SKC is going to get a victory.
2-0.
All right, we are recording before the CCL match, so technically SKC might still be in it, but by all accounts, they're going to be out of that competition. So they tied FC Cincinnati, like we referenced earlier last week, with a heavily rotated side. It'll be interesting to see what they do from a lineup perspective in their CONCACAF Champions League match as well as against the Red Bulls here. So they probably have the deepest team, and it'll be interesting. Depth will be tested here. Red Bull is not off to a good start. Looks like Tyler Adams not having him has been really impactful for them, and they haven't really been able to replace him. Additionally, from a goal-scoring perspective, they haven't gotten Bradley Wright-Phillips on, and going. And outside of the Earthquakes match, they really haven't looked great from an offensive perspective. I'm with you, 2-0 to Sporting Kansas City.
Absolutely.
Anything else you would like to add in MLS? In conclusion. Sure. That's the word I'm looking for.
I'm ready for the weekend, Dave. It's going to be awesome, and I expect a lot of goals and a lot of fun results.
Yep, so standard MLS, lots of goals, lots of fun. We have been Dave. I've been Dave. What have you been?
I've been Christian just this time.
Yeah, that's a weird way to say it, but this has been Quick Kick Picks presented by Bros Talking Soccer. Everyone have a great weekend. Go enjoy MLS, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.